Kids are going to be here. I know we've had a few people go home. I just don't know who went home, and I know a couple people couldn't be here today. Email me.
There's girls on the run and track stuff too. So.
Nobody was better excuse than me, and I just taken out to work today. Really? An old woman drives 3 hours. Oh, that's true. That is true. Well, thank you all for coming, and I'm here to take the next step, wherever this step leads us, moving forward, in dealing with some of the concerns that you had. What is up here on the board, on the chart paper, are the solutions that you came up with. I explained when I sent out the information to all of you that Joni took everything and put it on the document and put everyone's thinking on that document. So you have everything, but only what's up here are the solutions. And I have a few things today that I want to make sure that I focus on, and that is that I want you to know that I value your input and I value your time. And the more ideas that we generate, the more likely we are to come to some possibilities for resolving some things or fixing some things that are concerning. So I'm going to ask you to take a moment and read what is up there, and then I'm going to give you some time to provide additional thoughts. Some of you may not have been here last time to share. Some of you may have thought of some things when you got the raw data back that you would like to have added. So just take a minute, read through that. Is there any other solution that we need to add?
I'm not sure how you'd say this. I think in the big picture of looking at what's wrong, I think it comes back to the whole RCD, and I'm not quite sure how to say this, but basically I see it as at some point we got to get kids to own behaviors, and I see that as the big picture, is getting them to own their behavior. And that all ties back into RCD and what RCD tries to do. The whole basis of it is getting kids to say, yeah, I did that, I shouldn't have done that. I think that's probably the biggest thing that we struggle with is, and I mentioned this before, kids that just walk away from you, walk out, walk away, and won't have the RCD conversation with you to begin with. They won't have it. And we give them that out to where they don't have to have it. Because I think most of you know this that have worked with kids for a long time. The thing they hate most is actually owning it and having that conversation with an adult about what I did wrong and why I did it, and having that, which can be an extended conversation. Their out is always, I don't want to do this now. I'm stressed. I'm all the excuses they use that. I'm having a panic attack, I can't talk right now. I need to go to the room, or I need to get away. Because it all comes back to them owning their behavior. And we need to find a way. It has to be pretty extreme cases for a kid to say that they're having a panic attack. And to me, it almost have to be a doctor diagnosed type of thing, because kids are using that as an how you say that, but in the big picture, that's what I see as our problem. I don't know what that's gonna come back to. But getting them done, and there might be a small percentage of kids that can't own their behaviors, and they do have an out, but it would be a very small percentage. And those might be our kids that end up over it.
So maybe say, are you saying find a way to help students own behavior?
I mean, I guess
Synthesize that.
RCD accountability.
Well, we include the referrals should go down if we follow RCD correctly, and the important part there is following RCD correctly, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, so my question is it a new idea then that needs to go on here, or is this idea said differently?
I guess I was just emphasizing that probably.
Okay. Fair enough. Other thoughts?
I think we need to be able to emphasize the importance of passing classes. I don't know. I feel like that's a issue here. And I don't know if it is at Santa Fe or not, but it seems to me that if grades aren't important, then what's the importance of being in class? And if it's not important to be in class, why do they have to get there? I mean, I feel like a lot of things come off of that.
I think you could probably tie that back into kids and any freedoms that they do have here, and that those are the things they value the most. It's the food, school, and bleachers. It's during lunch. It's during passing times when they can be with their friends. They probably value that the most, and the more we could limit that and tie it back into the fact that they're not passing or flunking 6 out of 8 classes or whatever it is, the more we could tie that back in, the more control we're going to actually have. Limit the things they want, their ability to carry a phone around the building, and they're failing all their classes.
Limit student privileges based on their grades.
I'm not making a suggestion on that, I'm just making a suggestion out there, they have to be important.
Yeah.
Even electives, all classes, but especially,
I want to
they think electives don't matter at all. So.
Yeah.
take a moment to, what I should have done first was introduce the strategy that we'll be using. And this is a strategy called Focusing 4. And what we're doing right now is the brainstorming part. So there is not any advocating for one position or another. It's just putting ideas out here. And so the fact that they go up here is not whether a person agrees or disagrees. You'll have a chance to do that and for us to prioritize this. So we're going to go through 4 different steps. One is brainstorming and one is clarifying. So if there's anything up here that someone doesn't understand or would like to have more information about, then there'll be an opportunity to ask a question about that one so that you can get clarity. And we'll have to go back to whoever thinks that they know what that meant. In other words, you think it was on your list of solutions because we don't know who put it on there to begin with. And then at the end, after that, clarifying, we'll go through advocating, which means you get to explain why, or you get to try to convince other people about why you feel like that is the most important thing to do. And then you'll have an opportunity as a group to prioritize these items. And we'll go through a process of taking the total number that we have and coming up with a number, and there's a process for that, of ones that you will get to vote on. So they'll be your important items, what you think are most important. And then we'll look at, so what rises to the top. It's not about whether something is in first place or second place, but what rises to the top and what's then collectively most important to everyone. So having that explanation of where we're headed, are there other ideas that you want to add?
Question, but remember, I'm not out there with y'all anymore. And I'm not saying it's a good philosophy or a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just asking the question. I feel like the RCD continues to come out time and time and time and time again. It's either the administration's not doing their part or the teachers aren't doing their part. If it's not working, are we letting, I mean, if it's not working, why are we still doing it? I guess I want to clarify that.
So Terry, can
Yeah.
I offer this?
Yeah, I need to kind of understand that.
So would I be paraphrasing you correctly to say that a solution is to consider a different method?
That's
a
just what I'm
different
asking,
disciplinary
because
method.
I'm not.
But that would be a solution that we could put up here. So
That's what I'm
would you be
asking.
okay with
Yes,
that? if we
that's
did
why,
that?
that's why I was trying to ask. I just
What
want to
color?
step on toes, sorry, guys.
Step away.
I just feel like it's always up there. and we don't-
Thing works for 90% of our kids.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's why I need to know.
It's
I
the
need-
10%.
Okay.
So what would be the solution then to that? I mean,
Well, that's where all the ISS.
That's where we're at.
That's, yeah, it's not, they're not, the whole RCD thing is not, there's not a problem with that. It's just, if it's not effective for the repeat offenders.
so would those
that
offenders
group.
be, to use a term that we're familiar with, tier 3 students?
Yes.
Yeah.
So would it be fair to say a solution then would be to consider a different discipline model for tier 3?
Yeah,
Yes.
because with most of the kids, you could have a conversation with and move on.
I would like to consider, possibly adopting that block schedule that we've been doing.
Oh, no, please no.
Okay, remember, this is brainstorming.
Just brainstorming,
So,
but that would
So
eliminate,
here's the deal.
it would
If we
eliminate
did it
quite a lot
as
of
what we did,
transition
the
periods
kids would not be the
that
issues
we
that we're
have
having now.
problems. Plus,
High school does it.
I like the number of minutes, I feel like I can get some things done in class.
Yes, but sometimes there's peace in knowing that the kiddos that you have a really tough time with are only there for 45 minutes.
Or that you're not.
okay, we're moving off of brainstorming, so we want to stay in the process. Stay in the process.
Sorry, that just caused me a little bit of anxiety.
I mean, I have the office perspective, but, for anyone sent to the office, consider being sent somewhere else.
Alternative
And-
location.
Until it's their turn to be processed, or however
Like
you
a
wanna-
holding tank.
the purgatory of the office. Before the office. Angie's office.
Yeah, Angie.
Well, that would be that's a good idea. They could use the back door into the conference room, and the conference room wasn't being used.
Past experience, not.
Oh.
And Been there, tried
I only
that.
have
Not
two
so hot.
seats on my
Really?
couch.
You need to buy some treadmills and have to go to the office and run until one of the principals comes and talks to them.
Manned by staff.
You're gonna run it too, stop.
Okay, so other ideas?
I was like, one couple that did that.
You get to explain and work. I don't care. Up to you. He has things to do. Okay.
I was just wondering, if we always have to call the office and then they have to get a person for help, it says always call office and office gets a person to help. Does that mean that they're gonna have to hire somebody else too because of the flow of phone calls and stuff coming into the office? Yes, that third.
I'm gonna ask you to hold on to that, Tony, because that would be a clarifying question. That would be an
Okay.
example of that, okay?
Much like when we've moved the nurse's office to a different location, and we had the counselor moved a couple years ago, it cut down on traffic going up to the office. Should one of the administrators have a temporary office that could be rotated out in one of the centers of the pod, and so we have less of that traffic. For 7 gold students, we can escort them up and have someone cover for a second. But when I was an 8 black or an 8 gold, or even in the electives, like you really seriously, like you have to try and find coverage, especially if that's an unstable situation. So I think it's been effective for our counselor to not be in the office. You don't know any different, but it used to be quite a stream to do that. And then maybe there's like a gold and a black day. Certain days, certain administrators are in that locale, and so I don't know, just as an idea.
So does that capture?
Or have a temporary, or not, I wouldn't say temporary, or a center of the school, but an office that they rotate using, and they're based out of that office for the day.
Okay, so a temporary office
Yeah. So,
somewhere in the school.
because we already have those as offices.
Okay. Other ideas? Window of opportunity, as they say. All right, so the next step in this process then is to clarify. So I'm going to ask Tony to ask her question again.
So, I guess I was wondering, on the thing, it says, always call office and office gets a person to help. So if we're always calling the office, and then the office has to respond out, what if we can't get a hold of somebody in the office, or the phone is busy, and then we can't get a hold of somebody else? And are they gonna have to set up another phone in there to take those phone calls from teachers? Or how is that gonna work?
The author of this one, can you explain more or provide some additional information about what was the intention behind that?
They might not be here.
Well, Tony, I'm thinking that no one here is able to help you. Clarify this more. In answer to your question, I think that's going to depend. I mean, if the situation stays the way it is, you might be trading one issue for another issue,
Right.
if that's all you do. Okay?
I'm trying to think of a way we get to this point in this building where teenagers know when an adult talks to them and makes a request, they have to comply. If they don't comply, chances are that they're moving to the next tier for them, and they have to know that the next tier is something with pretty big consequences, because we're never gonna have enough help in this building with 500 kids, five adults that are considered the help.
expelling kids from school was just pretty regular. It didn't correct behaviors. It didn't fix the problem. So there's a whole lot of things on here that may be outside of your control as a person.
And
So-
I don't think the answer is punishment either. I didn't mean to come across that way. I think the answer is just taking more of the things away that they want to do, you know, limiting their freedoms more to where they're really thinking about how that ties together. Not necessarily, and I guess indirectly that is punishing. I mean, it's I don't know, just tying it back to where they're thinking about what their behavior gets them, you know, moving forward. And when they continue to get some of the things they want, I don't know if that registers with them, you know, if that makes sense or not.
And just to piggyback off of what James was saying, I think being new to education and stuff and dealing with the same kids over and over again, you know, and I pull up their grades and I pull up their behaviors and it's almost a carbon copy every time, all F's and many write-ups and stuff. And when I'm talking to them, they're saying, my grades don't count. So this is the response I'm getting all the time. So they do come here, or some of them come here just to socialize. So I don't know how I think if we could make that more of an importance for them and have more weight some kind of way, and I don't know the answer to that, I think that would curb some of that behavior because then there's a purpose to be here, there's a purpose to be in class. You know, I have kids telling me all the time, I see no value in being here and stuff, but you get up every morning, you put clothes on, and you're here the majority of the time. So there's something that is bringing you here, and it's to hang out. It's that social time with their friends. So I don't know how we get the academic piece to be more of a, have more of a weight to it for kids to believe in and understand that this is important to them and that they need this.
So I think it's probably a combination of creating that more freedoms for the kids that are following what they're supposed to, even maybe more, and special things, and you know.
That's what I was going to suggest in looking at limited student freedoms and privileges. I kind of get more comfortable looking the other way and have
Well, they work one. I think they
Yeah.
work together.
you have, when you have a good system of really good things that we offer, that you have to be,
Increase or expand.
yeah.
But those are good privileges you earn.
I'd like to piggyback on that and say that we're focusing on 5 to 10% of our student population when we, in a perfect world, would focus on the 90% that do everything they need to do every day, show up with varied home lives and sometimes worse than some of our high frequent flyers. And so promoting the 90% that's doing exactly what it needs to do every day. And I know that some programs that I've seen on the web and also Wichita rewards kids, and I don't know how there's some kind of partnership. I think it was through I remember reading it and going, oh my gosh, it'd be so awesome we could do this, and then of course life got in the way and everything walks away from that. But kids will sometimes rise to the occasion if they see that the value of doing the right thing is more than the value of doing the wrong thing. And I think we can all acknowledge the students that want attention because they don't get it, and the only way they know how to do it is for the negative ways. And so since we are going to be this trauma-informed school and we're working on redesign, why can't we redesign how we work with kids? And I don't know if there's an easy answer for this, and I'm like soapboxing right now, but watching the Paper Tigers and some of that, yes, there is that segment of population, and they're high need and they're extreme, but I have, of my class of 28 in my 9th hour, 30 kids, 3 of them drive me crazy. But it's not always a bad crazy. It's because they want to know and they have good questions, and I'm not moving fast enough for them, even with the redesign stuff we're doing. And so how can we emphasize the things that are working? Because like there are 3 kids that we will never talk about in a staff meeting because they will never be brought up because they do everything. They're not compliant. They're just good kids who know how to play the system. And so how do we give these kids the skills to play the system? And even if they're not going to change their behavior, they play the system not in a bad way playing the system, but in a good way. So, okay, in PE class, I know I've got to do this because if I don't, like Steve said, this is going to be the what's going to happen. And we have some sort of behavior plan set up for them. But also the idea of we created one today, a behavior plan today, it took forever. And thinking of doing 50 behavior plans is overwhelming. So how do we streamline the process? So, and Graber out. So.
So, Monty, is there a way for me to
I don't know.
put that up here as a
Graber back
solution?
in. All right. I just clocked out, Dr. Ham. Come on.
Sorry, clock back in.
And skates can't back you up on this.
Dang it. There are problems within our building. There's problems throughout the education system with behavior and how do we deal with kids. And yes, you're right. It is not the same as it was 15, 20 years ago or even 5 years ago. But how do we acknowledge and support and give? And my goal this year was to send postcards to parents of their kids doing well. And I decided I would do that. And 3 people have contacted me. I did 5 each semester. Wasn't expecting contact back. But it is amazing how parents value a positive response. And I know that we've been beat over the head with this. It feels like sometimes with even the positive with Pride Awards. But the kid that I give a Pride Award to sometimes doesn't repeat the behavior. Or they have that connection. And how do we make those positive connections to decrease those behaviors? If they're at Chuck Wagon in Steve's class, maybe if they have a connection with somebody else, that might help. But we also know there's that 3% that won't. So how do we, or 5%, how do we give those kids those supports? Whether it be the Boys Town, like this happens, this is the response, and that's for our extreme plans. I don't know. And I didn't summarize, I just said more, and I really need to stop talking now because it's been a rough day. And student behaviors have been out of ordinary today. So.
I do like how you say we're doing redesign, so let's redesign. I mean, redesign how we're.
Dr. Haim gave us permission to do stuff with redesign. The state has given us permission to do with redesign. Why are we only focusing on curriculum?
Because
Need to
I
not.
also was also at a training recently on social competencies, and there were redesigned schools there that said that they began with the behavior first.
Need to
And
take
did
it
not
to
begin with the
courses.
academics first. They began with behavior pieces first.
So, can I hold that thought for just a second? So, Monty, does
Coming
this-
back to me again, aren't you?
I am. I just want to have confirmation that this
Acknowledge this.
is
I can't read that.
acknowledge positive behavior, grades, and support building student skills in those areas. Does that?
Yeah.
I'm not feeling it, Monty.
I don't know.
So-
It's a broad brush, unfortunately.
Is there something I've left out that needs to be up here?
I don't know. We had, let's be honest, we had 3 kids go home today. All 3 of those need positive interactions. And I know we had to do what we had to do. But if you sit down with one of those kids individually, they tell you it's because they need someone to pay attention to them. Because no one in their life is doing that. So I don't know. Somehow, but the mentoring we're going to be doing next year anyway. And so like it'd be interesting to do a mentoring, like track that and see if that actually does make a huge difference. Because I think all of you guys think that we got the good kids this year. They randomly chose it. Our behaviors are down. I can't say it's because of mentoring. I can't say it's because of what we're doing. But if the whole school could have the success that we've had with our behavior, with the piloting, this might be a mute discussion. But we still have those kids who aren't going to respond to the normal stuff. So how do we meet those? That's what the deal is. Graber out.
Melinda, were you going to say something?
So I've been thinking about the same thing too, and my solution for it, I don't know if it will be approved, but my solution is we praise the ones that are doing the right thing. By like at the end of first quarter, we have everybody who has a C and above. You're gonna have from 11 to 1 have this opportunity to like have some kind of like a party, like I don't know, we bring things in, we have minute to win it parties, things like that, maybe slushies or something, but like just activities for them to do 11 to 1 for the students who are C and above. And then for second quarter, we do like no party, no tardies. And then we see if we can't get some of the moms to come in and serve for all the kids who had no tardies, like cookies and milk, 2 cookies and a glass of milk. And then for like third quarter, I thought just do everything C and above again. And then the fourth one, maybe no missing assignments. The point is that every quarter change what you're looking for so that you do get more students who can participate in it, because reality is that some kids are probably only going to be able to get D's or whatever because they just don't have the same opportunities to get the work done at home. So if it goes home, it's probably not coming back. There's going to be some kids who are always going to be late because mom and dad's life are hectic, you know what I mean? So they may not be able to participate in everything, but maybe if they participate in just one thing, it's enough to trigger them to say, I'm going to work on this, or I couldn't do it this time, but I'm really going to work hard to do it this time. Does that kind of touch what you're saying, to praise those ones and to try to bring it up?
We've tried things like that in the past with it's pure hell for the people that have to stay back with those that don't go. Like that's I think all of us in here have been those teachers that get to stay on the island.
That can't be the reason why that we.
No, it can't be.
No,
And
but it
that's
gets
the
to a
I
point
know.
where I had kids when we were doing that before who were saying, "Do I really have to go? It's lame. I really don't want to go."
And but that's beyond the point. I think but the lame or whatever, it still goes down to how do we make it for them? Like, it would not be lame if we had 4 Xboxes set up to big screen TVs and said, hey, this is what we're doing. By God, I'd get 3 kids like getting stuff done like nobody's business. We have a young man right now, I said, I heard you hate ISS. Yeah? If you don't work in here, I'm going to send you to ISS. First time he's had his Chromebook open and been with us. Like, he's scared to death of ISS. As long as that works, he's going to get stuff done. Like, how do we dangle that little thing?
Because you do have to go big or go home, and so you are going to have to do like maybe like little raffles where they get like a $5 gift card, or if they actually get $5, that's huge. And when kids find out I have an opportunity to get this just by doing these things, they're pushing for it. So I mean, you got to go big, but what do you get back from it? And there's a lot of people in the community too that are willing to donate, like Sonic would do free cherry limeades or something. Like kids will work for that. And I mean, obviously you don't know what you're gonna get, but I just think that it's like Jamie was saying, is absolutely, no matter what we do, there's always gonna be some kind of kickback. But we do have to make sure that they understand, like, we appreciate you coming and doing what you're supposed to. And if they don't want to take part of it, I mean, I think that that's their option. And I do understand that there are going to be some kids that are going to say, I'm never going to get it, so I'm never going to try. But that's the whole purpose of trying to put the reward as something different every time. Because maybe, just maybe, there's something that this person says, I can get that one.
I've been to school every day, or I don't have a behavior referral.
Yeah,
Like,
see, that could be one too, no behavioral.
Wasn't this in place this year and it never happened, and it didn't happen?
we've had,
Like the no tardy party?
we've,
Should have been that, but we never did.
It never got done.
so we've had.
This stuff is in place, some of these things are in place now, and they are not getting done. So, is it gonna happen if it's in place? That's my question.
Well, I think,
Well, if it gets approved for those ones,
It was approved now.
okay, but
well,
I think
I
timeout.
couldn't say that I can commit to those, because I want to. If
But it's
the admin's
also,
okay
we
with
can
it.
make all the grandest
She's
ideas.
got
We're, if we don't have someone that's willing to commit and go and do it, it's a moot point. And so, whatever we put up here and whatever we decide, it's going to come outside of the contract time probably. It's going to maybe mean every once in a while you call somebody and ask, hey, we're doing this, would you be willing to donate? But that's, like, are we willing to take that to offset the other? That's what we're going to have to ultimately decide. And unfortunately, the stuff, now here's the deal. I can sit back and say it didn't happen, but I did nothing about it. Not that it was my job,
But then you
but
gotta ask, why are you in education? For the paycheck? For the
no,
kids?
but like with the no tardy party, like we're all sitting here saying it didn't happen, but I didn't.
I'll
It was
push
not.
for it.
I was not on my radar screen. Graber clocked out at that point and forgot. There was a no tiny party apparently.
All right, any other ideas? Because we've had ideas, we've had clarifying, we've even had advocating, because some of you've been advocating for your ideas. Are there any other ones up here that you want to advocate for?
I have a question.
Yes.
The one underneath that other one that Tony's talking, what is 6+ of them type homework, not computer?
I have no idea. It was under the cafeteria one, and the,
I don't know what that means.
I can tell you what the,
There's 6 people at the table.
the cafeteria, the concern was students not able to work on homework when finished with lunch. And so the solution to that was,
How much time?
6+ of them have homework, not computer. Again, I didn't put it on there, so. So can the kids not take their computers to the? Okay.
Well, and as a lunchroom supervisor, there's like 5 minutes where they're not eating, and if we want to add food to the list of Chromebook getting like broken, sure, bring the Chromebooks.
I've got one more,
They wanna
Diane.
work on homework, but
Yes.
they don't have their.
I've got one more, and I'm not sure how you say this either, but I would say just simplify, simplify, simplify. And in terms of how we do a lot of different things around here, I think intentions get lost in all the details we have. And like Tony said, we've had things in place that haven't been followed through on. I think
Yes.
people just lose, I don't know. Yeah, they get buried in all their things, and they don't even know what we're doing after a while, because if you're not doing it consistently, and,
Or it gets changed.
yeah, if things get changed, they're not simplified to where everybody understands what exactly expectation is, then pretty soon people just get frustrated and they quit doing any of it, because they don't know what's going on. So, I think you simplify things so people understand, and you keep coming back to it with kids, and that's what you do, you keep redirecting kids back to the things that are working for us. It can't be a whole bunch of different things, because nobody knows what's going on, so.
Jamie?
There's a lot of them are dealing with ISS, but I think something should be added about outstanding detention time. I don't know if it goes into any of the ISS ones, but.
Okay, I'm going to, I can't talk and write at the same time. I'm gonna go back in time, and somebody help me out. It will have to be more than likely Cindy. Sally Gillihan. Wasn't it Sally Gillihan at Santa Fe that did detention for a number of years? And as the administrative intern at Santa Fe when I was there, we had a system for tracking this, and this was like pre-IC or pre-anything too much over here. Right, where we tracked every kid. No shows, eventually ended up in ISS.
Well, and
So,
maybe that goes
I don't
in-
know how you're currently doing this, but again, it needs to be someone's responsibility.
Well, what's
And
supposed to be
It,
happening.
it might go into the different discipline model, but
Mhm.
I've seen on Infinite Campus like up to 30 hours for a student for outstanding detention time, and I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means they've just been assigned that, or if that means they haven't
Accumulated.
showed for it. So, maybe there is a better way of tracking it.
Because what's supposed to be happening is once they reach a certain number of unserved, outstanding, because they are supposed to serve ISS time to wipe that off. And there are kids who have been serving that. Clearly, there are many more kids who are at that point, and it's just not being done for everyone that has earned that, if you will. So because we do have kids that have insane amounts of detention time. They will not serve it.
It also falls back though on that they'd rather go to ISS than be
now if they're
So
naughty
like
and
undermine
power
the whole
hour,
purpose.
their detention time doesn't count. She's like,
Okay, so I want to make sure that I'm honoring times here. So what we have are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16,
so that's,
17, 18, 19.
we have another one, can we do Saturday school with the ROC officer?
23, okay, just one second. 24.
Breakfast club.
Oh, yeah, what did they say?
That's not their job, they're not a certified teacher.
32.
So like, at least they pay them extra.
All right, so I heard another idea. Somebody said, what?
Saturday school. Saturday school, you make up all their
Yeah.
credits.
Then you have to have a teacher.
And I would say more parent involvement. Maybe that's bad. What's that?
That might change the community perspective too, if we did have more parent involvement.
We've been screaming about that for 15 years.
I had a parent sit in my class on Tuesday, or Tuesday.
Have their approval. Okay, so we have 34 ideas. And if I'm remembering, it's 1/3 plus 1. Hmm? So it's 11, 12. So you have 12 different ones of these that you can vote on. All right? So you're going to vote on 12 of the 34. Now, I will tell you that I agree with this that Mr. Bacon said. Simplify. Simplify, simplify, simplify. So even when we get to the 12, we're going to need to simplify in order to be able to do something meaningful. All right? So, at this point, you're going to need to figure out how am I going to keep track of whether or not I have voted 12 times. So I don't know what that looks like for you. I would probably need a little piece of paper and a tally to be able to do that. Because I'm going to count. Yes.
If we do less,
Skew it off.
can I just vote for 5?
Can you just vote for 5?
Or do we have to vote for 2?
Well, the strategy is what it is, but if you want to have a talk
Adapt.
about whether we vote for
Adaptable.
less, we can do that.
I think I'm just gonna do 15. Number 15.
All right.
You have to vote for 12 individuals.
How many do you want to have? If you go from,
Well, the next 23 and 24 are very similar, and they both have quite a few votes. I kind of feel like
okay,
the
so
discipline needs to,
23,
the model needs to be.
Oh,
and
That's
24.
15, what about?
I lose 31.
Yeah,
We keep 31. a really great thought here is this idea behind simplifying and not putting too much on your plate. So what is it going to look like to do these 9 things? Because again, there is no one person in this building that can do these 9 things. No one person. It's going to take all of you working together. I'm going to make one comment before I say adieu to all of you. Stop pulling both administrators at the same time. Okay, there are very few times that I pull administrators. They've been gone a lot this year because of redesign. And they both need to be there to hear it. And they both need to participate. Because what happens is that when one person doesn't know what the other person is doing, that's a problem. And it creates other problems. That is why we have worked to have someone fill in that role. Now, whether what we did worked well, can't answer that. So maybe what we need to consider is a different plan for that. Hopefully next year, with redesign being in a different place, you won't have the same result. But again, that was not something that I controlled or desired. We have our after-school admin meetings are after school. There are some things that Mr. Flores, for example, can't control. He can't control when the Pioneer League decides to have a league meeting that he needs to go to. It's just the way it is. Mrs. Grieve is not going to be able to help it if something else comes up and she has to be gone at the same time. So really what we have to work on is, of course, limiting that. That is a given. Yes, we need to do that. And when it happens that they're both out of the building, how do we help